Hey fam, I thought I'd jump on here and do a quick new moon reading for all of us because there's a new moon rolling in. It feels like a real restful one. Well, I feel like I'm really being encouraged to rest this moon. Yeah, I thought I would see what the collective messages were for us too. Cool. Yeah, sending heaps of love to everyone during this time, especially if you're in Aotearoa. Yeah. Oh yeah, I also have a workshop coming up, which is called Akoma, which translates to hearts in Tree, in my language. This is a self-love spell workshop where we're gonna have some fun and build a jar, which is a way of essentially putting all your intention into a jar, and I will teach everyone how to work it and continue to like cultivate those energies of self-love with the jar. Yeah, so if you're interested in learning like a new way of cultivating self-love and practicing it as ritual in your day-to-day or within your week, this is a great workshop for that. This particular thing, like spell jar, has really helped me in my journey and being intentional, having a physical item to work with. Yes, so if you have any questions on that as well, feel free to email us. Our email is down below. Yeah, so let's pull some cards. On a day, some mindful, affirmation, need to do days of love, light, high frequency, truth, justice, and peace. Ask that you help me channel these messages as clearly as possible. What messages do you have for us, the collective, in this new moon coming up? What messages do you have for us, the collective, during this new moon coming up? What messages do you have for us? 5 of Air. What messages do you have for us? What information guidance do you have for us, the collective, in this new moon? 2 of Fire. Karma. And one more. What collective guidance do you have for us in light with this new moon? 3 of Fire. Okay, so there's a lot. People are going through a lot, to be honest, which makes sense. Yeah, there's lots of shifts going on with the earth and really challenging things happening within community and stuff like that, so that makes sense. And I feel like even if you aren't personally going through something super intense or heavy, you could also be feeling the energy that's around as well. So noting that when the earth is going through shifts within the weather, as we are a part of nature, we also go through those shifts. So yeah, that might be a reminder for someone that that's how connected we are to each other and also to the earth as well. Yeah, so some of us also might be going through some sort of mental conflict or like unsure of whether to make plans in a certain, to do with something. Yeah, like might be conflicted about a choice or where to like put our energy. Firstly, Source is reminding us to really leave behind any of this mental conflict and like step away from it. So if there are certain things that are causing us mental conflict, what can we do to release that and step away from it and move further in towards our heart space or what feels good, essentially. Source is also reminding us with 2 of Fire that like whatever we're walking towards, yeah, we're closing the doors to the past. And I'm also hearing Source say that like they're helping us close those doors to any conflict or past conflict, especially within the mind. And I'm also hearing arguments, like this could also be coming up in arguments or discussions or something like that. Yeah, some of us might just be feeling a bit conflicted when it comes to plans or something we want to leave behind or move forward in. There's encouragement for us to like take the time that we need to reflect on it, have that introspection. Some of this conflict might be coming up collectively from like a space within our inner child. So maybe we have to reflect on the past, our childhood, and how this might be affecting how we move forward or wanting to expand what we want to leave behind, release within this new moon. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of encouragement here from our ancestors as well, to really look towards the future in terms of what we invest in and how we want to expand that. This could even be like, this can be literal, like saving your money. But I see some of us like really reflecting deeply on what has caused us a lot of mental conflict. This could even be like things that affect our mental health in the past, especially to do with our childhood. How we want to move forward from that and how we want to grow. Because we literally have 2 of fire and then 3 of fire. So there's a natural progression here within what we're passionate about. Even like past injustices that maybe potentially have happened, or things that, yeah, have caused us a lot of pain or grief. Yeah, because there's even like the hangman at or the enslaved prisoner at the base of the deck, which is showing that like a lot of us feel like a pause or restricted in our movements. Some of us really need to let go of feeling judgment or judged in, or like taking on the projections of people's judgments and what we want to invest our time and energy into, or who we want to invest our time and energy into. Yeah, let me see. What other guidance do you have for us, the collective, when it comes to this new moon? Okay, we also have 7 of air and 9 of earth. Yeah, there's a lot of like, some of us might even be dealing with like abandonment issues, or issues is not the right word, but wounds that come from feeling neglected from the past. Or this is a lot of like, this is quite independent, but then there's also a loneliness to this. So some of us might be having to leave something behind, and this might require us to step into more solitude and independence. Or even if we're trying to take on a new venture or project, or invest into something, we might potentially have to do that alone. And because of this, or maybe even to begin with, and because of this, this might be causing some anxiety and like past things to come up. But I feel like Source is saying it's better for us. This card is always about like, it's better for us to be planting our seeds connected to the earth, connected to what we're growing, and like away from chaos, away from drama that's actually going to affect that. And I also see that this is a reminder that the earth is actually holding us as well. Yeah, there is a lot of like pain and grief around at this time because of things that have been happening even just across the world as well. And I feel like Source is reminding us that the seeds that we plant and the things that we invest into, even the ideas that we have that are connected to our heart space, and with this green, yeah, the ideas that we have that are connected to our heart space, and any like even collective wounds that we're noticing. So things we're noticing within the community that we feel pain or mamai for, what can we do to like help within our own things that we're cultivating within our own community as we're connected to a heart space and earth. And it's okay to do those things quietly, and in solitude or in communion with the earth, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's important for us to really stay grounded, which has been a real theme, I feel like, for me and with my loved ones as well, that I have been sharing in conversation with. Grounding is so fucking important right now, to help process things, you know, and when there is a lot of change, especially like Oya, Shango coming around, the winds coming around, if you're in Aotearoa, Tawhirimatia, for example, that's a lot of upheaval and a lot of, literal destruction. And so because it's such a sweeping energy, it is important to do things that really ground us here and connect us to Asase, to earth, to Papatūānuku, essentially. So yeah. I feel a question that I should ask is, what ways can we access rest? So I'll pull on that. Oh, well, we have the answer, I think. 8 of air and the Baba Luisha. Yeah, so some of us may be feeling pretty restricted and sad, or not really feeling like there are ways out of certain things, especially within our mind space. And I'm really actually feeling for people within this energy, because there's a lot here to do with mental health. So some of us really need to tend to our mental health in ways that we can, maybe even talking to someone in about where we feel restricted, because with this card, or the beauty of it is that they are sad and in the cage, but there is an open door that they can fly out of. They're just looking in a different direction, and maybe it's very introspective. This is a reminder here that if you have an altar, or you have like ritual or things that connect you to your ancestors and earth that you do, it's really important to get those things out. If you're a mystic, a healer, a sensitive person, it's important to really connect now and pray, I feel like, as well, collectively, for the things that are happening, and to even for us that are feeling a little bit more solid right now, praying for those around us that maybe are going through things that are really hard. I also see bits of like depression and stuff within this. So if you know that there's anyone in your life that struggles with that, or you just want to send out some collective prayers and ritual, I really, really encourage that, because you never know how it's going to help someone, even just as simple as saying a few lines, or writing a prayer down, or sending someone some energy. This is also a reminder that even if we are feeling restricted in some way, and sad in some way, the Baba Lurisha is about actually having resources. So to use the resources that we have, and if we don't have resources per se, tangible things around us, asking for help and asking for support looks like it's really important, because in this card in particular, the Baba, the priest, is calling on ancestral spirits, is calling on the divinities, is calling on source for protection, for peace. So calling on ancestors looks like, they really want to come through. But again, reminders, if we don't actually communicate and ask them to come through, they're not going to come through. Just like if you don't go and ask your friend for support, sometimes they're not going to. But I do feel like banding together and supporting one another instinctually, intuitively, is really important. Now and always. What guidance do you have for us during this new moon coming up. What guidance do you have for us, the collective, during this new moon coming up? What guidance do you have for us? I have the fire element and 7 of earth. Yeah, so these cards kind of fell out like this. Just want to show you. So it's kind of like on the foundation of these 2 cards, there's the 7 of earth. And so that's like really about investments. There's a lot here as well, not a lot, but there's a bit here about money. So it's important if you have been wanting to save, following those instincts. But also this is just about general investments and the seeds that we do plant, and what grows from them and what we've grown in the past, and looking at, okay, did that work for me, or what can I pull from my resources of the past or the lessons that I have learned in the past to drive me forward. Even if I feel like I'm lacking or restricted mentally, what wisdoms and things do I hold in my pocket from like what I have gone through in the past. And then with the fire element, this is someone that is confident, that is like willing to take on the challenge, essentially. And so that also takes me back to the Baba Orisha, like there's this willingness, or the willpower is accessed within us. And so there's reminders here for us to really try and tap into our willpower a little bit. And if we feel like we don't have willpower to get ourselves out of a restrictive place, calling on our ancestors, guides. This could even be like, I don't know, therapy, counseling, support in whatever ways that we can get it, to allow ourselves to drive forward and give birth to the ideas that we want to give birth to, and also just be confident in ourselves and the leadership, like the leadership qualities that we have personally to lead ourselves, or the leadership instincts, essentially, because we all have that. And the other thing that I was feeling with the fire element was, oh, it's kind of left my mind now, but I think I was just thinking about, yeah, confidence. Yeah, some of us might not be feeling very motivated if we have been feeling down and out, which I feel like is fair enough. Yeah, and I'm also hearing, remember the seeds that you have planted and what you have grown in the past. Yeah, is really important, because with the message from Earth, there is something growing here, even if it looks really small. There is wealth here, and there's protection, and there's reminders here that we're always supported by the earth if we're connecting to as well. So there's reminders to connect, and to start that thing that we want to start, invest in that thing that we want to invest in, even if it's a baby step. If we can't see any possibilities or things that we can use or resources that we have, taking some time out to reflect and go within, and then in turn go back to observe what we could potentially use as a resource to move us forward. This is also for me about grounding, and it's a slow process with message from Earth. So we don't really need to take, yeah, we can take baby steps. We don't need to move too fast if we don't want to. Yeah, and even though there is this mental restriction, or like sadness or sorrow or even grief and release that is going on collectively right now, yeah, Earth wants to remind us that there are still some things that will grow out of this, and after some time of like healing and reflection, taking time to actually look at our investments and what we can invest in moving forward, however that is, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, mentally, materially. Yeah, and that will allow us to move on. We have 6 of air here, so that's nice. There's that mental progression from 5 of air to 6 of air. So coming out of this conflict into a space of new ideas, new creativity, Aquarius energy. So that's even like a lifting of our mental health and an elevation of our thoughts and the conflicts that we're potentially going through. And this is through conversation. So if you are feeling conflicted, I'm also seeing in connections or relationships, if any of us are feeling conflicted, so this can be suspicion in regards to something. There might be some like higher, or I want to say high frequency conversations that happen, and maybe even some ideas that are shared that help move out of this conflict. I also heard the word sustainability, so maybe these practices or ways or ideas of doing things will draw in more sustainability for us within community, within the collective, and within our lives and ecosystems and stuff like that. Okay, cool fam, I will leave that there. I hope that everyone has a restful and lovely new moon. And yeah, I really encourage this week, if you need support, to really reach out, to really talk to people, those around you that you can. Ask for what you need, whether it's from the spirits or whether it's from the earth or whether it's from your family and friends. Yeah, because all of us need support, and it's good for us to note that we can rely on each other. So yeah, I will leave it there, and I'll talk to you all soon.